Just briefly, another occurrence of chromites and chromatites is in ophiolites. And this is pertinent to New Zealand. So ophiolites, do you know what ophiolites are? Yes? You should be familiar with the Dan Mountain belt. So ophiolites are basically ocean floor that is being accreted onto a continent. The ocean floor is formed by basaltic magma. So we've got maybe an injection of basaltic melt that starts to crystallize olivine on the walls, and the residual melt in the center will be more evolved, more silica-rich. At this stage, we inject a new fresh patch of basaltic magma. We mix it, and we form the precipitation of these chromites, in chromitite pots. Then we have the melt basically draining away or not, and leaving these chromitite layers in tronific rocks by this same principle that we saw before. And therefore we end up with chromitite pots in ophiolites. Has anyone been to South Island? Have you been to Red Mountain? Yeah, would be interesting to go. I wasn't along with James when he took the picture. But yes, so you should be familiar with the Dan Mountain ophiolite belt, which goes from basically Otago and Southland all the way under our feet and to Northland. And that was an early Permian seafloor that was accreted on the continent during the Cretaceous. And Red Mountain is a spectacular outcrop of that, what it looks like in the Southern Alps. And chromite was actually explored and exploited for a while in the 1800s near the Dan Mountains, as you would expect. But, so it's not being exploited these days. It was just in the 1800s, 1860s. And you can find a bit more history on that address. Moving on to the opposite end of the evolutionary process. So we've been looking at basaltic mafic rocks so far. The more you crystallize, you end up with basically granites, and as we saw on the graph before, the more you fractionate elements that don't like to enter in the fractionating phases, like for instance tin doesn't like to go into feldspars, quartz, or mineral phases that crystallize in a granitic melt. It will remain within the melt up to the end, where then we have these lenses of enrichment. And these usually host metals that don't like to go into normal silicate phases, like lithium, rubidium, beryllium, tin, uranium, and reeds. You all know what reeds are. And another process well associated to the end stage of crystallization in magma bodies is pegmatites. So these are formed by late stage magmatic fluids that crystallize outside, usually outside the source Pluton or bodies, magma body. And different minerals precipitate different temperatures, and hence you could find beryllium-rich deposits proximally to an intrusion, whereas you go further away, more distal to it, you might find lithium, cesium, tantalum, and tin-rich pegmatites. Oh. And there's an Elements magazine on pegmatites. I forgot to bring And pegmatites can be quite spectacular. They're usually characterized by quite large crystal sizes. And they've been explained by crystallization not from aqueous fluids, not from silicon metals, but from some kind of flux, which allows basically larger degrees of metal solution or elemental solution. And when you got this injection into the surrounding country rock, which is much cooler, we get undercooling that results in equilibrium crystal growth, which then explains the zonation and the sizes. These volatile crystals are quite impressive, if you ask me. And this is the Element magazine 2012. You can go and have a look if you're interested. And pegmatite are also associated with gems like emeralds, rubies, and sapphires. And these, because they need to grow into an empty space in order to form crystals like that, they occur at the very late stage, where we've got volatile rich fluids that form bugs and pockets, and hence we allow something to grow into an empty void. So to summarize, a magma inherits the composition from its source during the process of partial melting. Depending on the degree of partial melting, we will have different concentration of different elements at different stages. But usually processes are needed, additional processes are needed to enrich metals to a degree to create viable ore deposits. This can be crystal fractionation, assimilation, or immiscibility. And depending on the magma type and deposit type, we will be looking at different ore deposits like chrome and PGEs, in maiden intrusions, nickel in chromatites, and deposits related to extremely fractionated magmas, which is tin, uranium, and rare earth elements. And then at the end stage, basically the formation of pegmatite that have these ore associations. In the next lecture on Monday, we will be looking at deposits formed by magmatically derived hydrothermal fluids such as porphyry, skarns, and hydrothermal deposits. Thank you for your attention.